bird on a tree. I'm just sitting here. I got time. It's clear to see from up here.
Hey everybody, welcome to my channel, Kaylee Creations, and welcome to this tutorial for the Flower Cart MemoryDex card. If you would like to see an overview of this project, I will put a link to that in the description box below. And I will also have a link to the Facebook page, Loaded Envelope Galore and more. I've designed this project for the swap I'm hosting, and if you would like to participate in this swap and you're watching before April 1st, 2021, please check out the events on the Facebook page and look for this Flower Cart MDC, and there will be more information on the deadlines for the swap and also the requirements that you need to follow. So that I hope that you join us for that. Okay, so a couple things I want to mention before we get started, and the first is I had created this box first. This was meant to be a little gift box, and once I'd finished the box, I thought this would be really a fun design for a 3D MemoryDex card. So before I decorated this one, I decided to stop and create this one here, but I did not want to redo a tutorial because the process is exactly the same. The only difference is the size. So I edited the video and did some voiceover. So you will be getting the correct dimensions for this particular project, but during the tutorial you will see me create this box here. Alright, so this is what your file will look like when you download it onto your design area. And this is a pop-up card that I'm going to be altering into a box. And so I won't need any of these pieces on the bottom. So I'm going to group all those together so that I can easily delete them. And then I'm going to group the cart here so that I can downsize it to fit a MemoryDex card. Now the card can't be any wider than 4 inches, so I need to keep that in mind. And then, so the overall file would be 3.988 wide and 4.467 high. And I will put that up on the screen and also in the description box so that you can see that. And so that will be the size of my file. So I'm going to ungroup everything so that I can separate the pieces into cut categories. And so I'm removing that white base of the cart and the white portion of the wheel. And there's the outer rim. All those little pieces are just used for using a just for decorative reasons when you're designing your card, but I probably will not even use those on my project. If I do, it'll only be to layer with some cardstock, but I will just group them over here just in case I change my mind. And then I need to group these canopy pieces together so that they're easily workable, and then also this that rectangle piece there is as for design paper to go on your cart. And so it is important that you do replicate everything in a mirrored image, because it will matter when you're going to cut one side of your design paper or the other. You want it to fit right. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that with everything. I'm going to go up there on the top and hit object. Then I'll hit replicate, and then I will hit mirror right or mirror left, either one. And that will just ensure that I get the right design paper, the right side fitting on the right side of my flower cart. And even on the wheels, I'm just not going to take the chance of them not fitting right. So I will just duplicate everything or in a mirror image to the right. Now, this cart here, I will be cutting 3 sets. I will cut one set out of a heavy-duty cardstock, and then one set for the outside of my cart, and one set for the inside of my cart. And that will ensure I have a really nice and sturdy card. Then the wheels there, I will just cut once out of design paper, and the canopies as well will be one cut of design paper, and then the little rectangles one set of design paper. Now those rims I will also replicate those, and I will be cutting one set of design paper, and then I'm going to go ahead and duplicate those because I may want to layer with those pieces, and I may want to cut some out of cardstock. All right, and that's all there is to so far on cutting everything out of our silhouette. Once all your papers are cut, you can go ahead and adhere the design papers onto the plain cardstock. And so I've done one side already, and I'm using the orange on the outside of the cart and the blue on the inside. And so I will go ahead and glue the other side together, and then we'll be ready to start making our boxes. All right, so you need a heavyweight piece of cardstock cut to 5 7/8 by 3 15/16 of an inch. So that's 1/16 inch or 1 hash mark less than 4 inches. And you're going to score 1.5 inches on all 4 sides, and I've already done that on this for the sake of time. And I've also drawn lines in my score where I've scored so that you can just see it easier what I'm doing. Of course, you wouldn't be drawing the lines, that you would just be cutting on your score lines. This is just so you can see. And so I like to cut on the side with the groove. It just helps my scissors to go straight. I don't cut that very well. And I'm just going to cut this on this score line up to the long score line here. Okay, and then the same thing on the other side. Okay, and so then I'm going to just angle here on those 4 end pieces, just so those edges aren't in the way. Okay, then I'm going to turn it over because I like to fold on the side with the little bumps, so I like to fold in on that. Okay, so then you're just going to fold in your flaps like this, and then fold it into the box. If those end tabs overlap in the center, just trim those down. You don't want a lot of bulk in the center of your box. And then also one other thing is sometimes the ends of your box are going to be taller than the sides here, and that's because you have 2 score lines here, and that does take up space, the fold does, and you only have 1 fold on the sides. And so a lot of times, and I'll do this on my trimmer, not by hand, because I don't cut straight, but just for the sake of time, I'm just going to trim that a little bit, just so that, just so that these edges are lining up straight. Just trim it just a smidge off at a time so you don't cut too short, and but you can see how this side end is taller than this one. And I think it's just because there's only 1 fold that you're dealing with, and so those fold lines take up some space. Oh, and I forgot to trim that one, didn't I? Alright, so now you'll need to make a piece for the canopy top. And so you need to cut a piece of heavy duty cardstock at 4 1/16 by 1 1/2. And then you need to pull out your scoreboard. Okay, so you're going to put your paper in here this way, and you're going to score at 1/4 of an inch on each of these long sides. And then score at 1/2 an inch on the ends. Okay. And then I'm just going to draw lines in here so you can see what I'm doing. So pretty similar to when we cut the box. I'm going to cut these score lines here up to the very long score lines going across. And then I'm going to angle all these short inside ends, like just a little angle on the insides here like this. And then on the sides I'm going to make a larger angle. This is just so I don't have a lot of bulk there up underneath the canopy. On mine I did add a piece of design paper there. And it just gave the canopy a really nice finished look. And then on the ends here, I'm going to make another large angle. And so you should have a piece like that. It kind of looks like a candy wrapper. Okay, so we're almost ready to assemble our cart, and I've got both of my pieces covered with design paper. And I just want to reiterate that you're doing things in mirror image. So the outside of your cart should be matching like this, and then the insides like this. So you're doing everything in mirror image, okay? Um, so I decided my handlebar needed a little bit more strength. It wanted to bend at the intersection there where it meets the cart. So I decided to add a little tab on that extends over onto the cart. And you can compare it to the one on the right where it's just cut up there to the edge and it wants to bend right there. So I didn't do anything sophisticated. All I did is in my silhouette design area, I erased the entire cart except for the handlebar and that little section of the cart. So you can see on the left there, that's how it came out. And on the right is one that I've just trimmed up with my scissors to make it look nice and straight. And so I cut 4 of those and added them to the 4 handlebars of the full-size cart. I've made my box and put the design paper in there to cover up the ugly tabs. And on the design paper, I suggest that you measure your box before you cut and do a dry fit before you glue. All right, so on my MemoryDex card, you cannot even see the inside of the box, and so if you're going to be making the false bottom and covering your box and filling it, then don't worry about covering the inside with the decorative paper. You only need to worry about those ends there, and so those are a little bit, just slightly less than 1.5 inches high and a little bit less than 1 inch wide. If you do want to decorate the inside of your box, of course everything will be a little bit less than 1.5 inches tall, and the ends are a little bit less than 1 inches wide, and the sides a little bit less than 2 7/8, and of course the bottom would be a little bit less than 1 inch and a little bit less than 2 7/8. So now I'll go ahead and show you how to make the false bottom. So you need a piece that is 5.5 inches by 3.5 inches. Then you're going to score on all four sides at 1 1/4 inch. Then you're just going to cut along these score lines here, cut those little boxes off on the corners, and then just fold it down like this. You may need to trim your end pieces just a little bit so that they're even up with the sides. And then you just slide it into your box. Now, of course, this will be much easier to do if you do this before you put your box onto the cart. Of course, when I made this, I did not know I was going to be making a false bottom, so I'm just going to have to slide it in there the best I can. And so now I have a box that is only 1/4 inch deep, and so then I can fill that and make it look like the entire box is filled. All right, so I'm going to start doing the assembly here, and the first thing I want to do is to glue this tab onto the top of my cart, and I'm going to be gluing this to the inside of my cart, okay? And so I think the easiest way for me to do this is just to lay it flat. I don't want to go over the score line, but I want to get as close as I can. And I'll just burnish that down from here on this side as well. And let's see. Just want to make sure. I'm going to fold that over and just make sure it's where I want it to be. That's good. And now I'm going to go ahead and do that with the other side. And now I just need to get these side pieces, these side flaps glued on. Okay, so go ahead and get that one side down. I have to put more glue on this one. Oh my goodness. Okay, yeah, you're gonna have to hold that a while because it doesn't want to stay. It wants to fight it a little bit. Okay, so now, so yeah, do one side at a time. It'll be much easier to put it together that way. For the top of the canopy, you need a design piece of paper that is a little bit less than 1 inch and a little over 3.5 inches long. And it's just better to have it a little bit long to make sure it fits over the folds than to have it cut too short. Then I cut some pieces to go on the inside of the canopy. So on my silhouette file, I just cut off the bottom of the card about here, and then I went ahead and trimmed the excess off by hand. So it looks like this, and then just make sure these are in a mirror image because one side will fit better on the other. And then the same thing for these little rectangle pieces. Make sure those are in mirror image. It's slightly slanted on the top here, and so they just go on like this. I did not use those for my MemoryDex box, so that is a design choice. And then also I cut these wheels out of cardstock because I painted over them, and so I have one wheel with the spokes with a rim on top and then 2 rims underneath, and that gave me about an 1/8 inch dimension on the bottom. So you can layer more wheels if you would like it to be thicker. And so now I will show you how to add the box. I'm imagining a line here along this rim. So you have these little end pieces here, which are like the rim of the cart. And so just imagining that line going all the way across here. So I'm going to line the top of my box up to that rim. Just center it the best you can and just make sure it's not overhanging underneath the wheel of the cart. And then just line that box up under that rim, so to speak. And then lift this up and put the glue on this side. And I'm going to turn this over just so that I can make sure that it's where it needs to be. Okay, yay! I have my cart finished. All right, for this part of our card, you're going to need 2 pieces of heavy-duty cardstock that are 4 inches wide and 1.5 inches tall. So you can choose to do this by hand and use your Heidi swap punch, or if you want to cut it out on your electronic machine, that's fine. As long as it's 4 inches wide and 1.5 inches, and of course the holes in the center. And then on your scoreboard, you're going to put the holes to the left, and you're going to score at 1 inch. So you're going to do both of those at 1 inch. And then you're just going to go ahead and fold those up. And then you're going to glue the bottom pieces together like this, so you kind of have a T-shaped stand for your card. And all right, so once I have my pieces glued together, then I need to make sure that it fits underneath my cart. And mine was just a little bit wide, so I just had to trim a hairline off that top edge there. And once I knew that it fit, then I needed to find the center of my card. Excuse me. And so I just used my Tim Holtz ruler to find the center, and then I made this hash mark here with my pencil. And then I also need to find the center of my cart. Now you need to find the center from this edge of the canopy to the edge of the handlebars. So whether you use a grid mat or your ruler, as long as you're getting the center from here to here. So anyway, so I found the center and I made a little hash mark on the bottom of the box. So now I'm going to line up these 2 hash marks. And then I want to find the edge of the box. Now your cart sticks over just a little bit, so make sure you're finding the edge of the box. And then go ahead and do this side. And so now I've got the 3 marks there on my card. And so I'm just going to cut with my trimmer. So I'm going to go ahead again and line up that middle hash mark with the cart, and just making sure that this card is not overhanging the box. So that looks like it's good to go. And then if you choose to use design paper like I did, and yes, you will be covering up your little hash marks, that's okay. Just as long as you remember that on your card, this side from the edge of the hole to the end is wider than this side. So the wider part goes underneath the wheel. So you can see here the wider part is underneath the wheel. And so that's how you remember which way to put your little stand on. So just going to glue these flaps here and go ahead and glue that on. And then your little MemoryDex card is complete. All you have to do is decorate. So if you have any questions about this project, please leave them in the comment section below, or you can also leave a comment on the Loaded Envelope Galore and More Facebook page. Just look for this event and leave your comments in that section there. So thank you so much for joining me, and I would appreciate it if you give me a thumbs up and hit that little notification bell so you can join me for any of my upcoming projects. Thanks for watching. Bye.